The Premier League is back, which means the FPL is back. We've all got a bit of excitement, a bit of hoping by week 5 we've all given up, but that's not going to be the case here on Tartan. I'm going to be sticking with you every week, doing a video reminding you to get your teams in before the deadline, reminding you there's still a signed shirt up for grabs on the Tartan FPL League. I'm going to give you the code in just a minute. Anyway, this was a big requested show. About 3 people said, are you doing an FPL show? And I thought, do you know what? That's enough for me. I'm convinced. I'm a man of the people. I listen to the subscribers. This video will get crap views. It will earn no money. I'm doing it for the love of the game. Anyway, welcome to my FPL show where I am bang average at the game. I'm not even sure what my rank was last season. It was about 110,000 or something. I was doing all right. I was like, I don't know, 60, 70,000. And then the assistant manager Chip, I played it, got it wrong. And for the last few weeks, I just gave up. I fell out of love with FPL about match day 30 last season. Didn't like it. Ruined it. No assistant manager Chip yet. So I've got my hopes up. Also, deadline tonight, Liverpool against Bournemouth, 8 o'clock kickoff. So 6:30 deadline, I think. 6 p.m. deadline. 6:30 deadline. I can see it on my screen here. 6:30 deadline. No promises I won't make changes because I have a problem. And I'm looking to you guys to help me here. Guide me. There must be someone out there who's decent at FPL. Give me some pointers. Let me know what you think of my team. You can slag it off if you want. I won't be offended. Probably won't change it. But actually, I will because I've got an issue. I'm going to tell you my issue. Before we do that, this is the code for my league, S0RG0U. The link is in the description below. You'd rather just click it. It'll automatically add you to my league. As I said, there will be a prize. The winner will get a signed shirt for the team they support. So it won't be a West Ham one, unless, of course, you're a West Ham fan. But even if you're a West Ham fan, you might not want a signed West Ham shirt with the season that we might have up ahead. Right. Without further ado, let's get into it and let me reveal my goalkeepers. Look, I've set it up so there's a bit of anticipation here. So I've gone with what I feel is quite common. As you can see there, I've spent all my money. I've got none left in the bank. That's part of the problem. I've gone with the goalkeepers, which I think a lot of people are going for. Sanchez can be quite busy. I think he does make quite a lot of saves. Last season, he was picking up some bonus points for Chelsea as well. Then the goalkeeper's name that my brain does not like, Dubravka. Only 4 million for a keeper who's expected to start week in, week out. That's cheap. I'm having him. But for most games this season, I'll be playing Sanchez. Usually I go for 4.55 million pound goalkeepers. I know Kelleher's in that £4.5 million price bracket, but there's not really anyone jumping out at me. I think, could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure last season I had Flecken and Henderson at 4.5 million each for the entire season. They were fantastic. I didn't have to change them. I just picked them, forgot about it. Never once had to change my goalkeepers because every weekend there was at least one of them I was happy to play. That's my goalkeepers. Now, I've been trying to get involved with the whole new defenders points for clearances and interceptions and stuff like that. It's going to take a few weeks, I think, for me to get my head around, but I have done my best to research and I'm quite confident I've got some really good defenders here. The issue is I've got 5 good defenders here. Let's have a little look. I'll explain my thinking as we go. So I've gone with, let's start with what would be the left back. El Hadji Malik Diouf. I'm having him, my West Ham player, playing left wing back. Might not pick up loads of defensive points. He's a bit of an unknown quantity in the Premier League. However, going forward, I think there's a good chance he will rack up a few assists this season. So I've got him in there, just 4.5 million. One of my cheapest defenders. I think he's one of those players, I think if you've got him at the start of the game, you might end up just leaving him for the entire season. I also think West Ham's going to pick up a few clean sheets. I think under Potter, he's going to try and make sure that defence is pretty solid. We're going to be playing in possession of back 3, out of possession of back 5. Hopefully that equals clean sheets and hopefully assists for Diouf. Now Murillo's one of those monsters when it comes to this new defensive points thing. I don't even know what it's called. You know what it is, right? This is how bad I am at FPL. The defensive points, we'll just call that. Murillo is an absolute monster at it. So he's going to be picking up bonus points pretty much every game. A couple of goals last season. Does pick up a few yellow cards. But I'm thinking Nottingham Forest have looked a bit light in terms of scoring goals in pre-season. I think might see them going back to what they were best at under Nuno, which is clean sheets. I think Murillo will be racking up the points. At 5.5 million, I'm happy with him as well. Tarkowski, another one. Fantastic for those defensive points. I think he was the best defender at it in the league last season. A bit of a threat from set pieces too, so I'm happy getting him in there. Away to Leeds on the first fixture. Murillo's at home to Brentford. Diouf's away to Sunderland. So there's some nice fixtures for these three players in particular for the opening weekend. So I'm happy. Got Tarkowski in there. Now I get on to the two that I'm unsure about, because it's a lot of money, isn't it? It's a lot of money. Lacroix at 5 million. Again, picks up some really good defensive points. Not as big a threat at set pieces as Richards, in my opinion, but greater than Gay, who's obviously expected to leave. At 5 million, I think he's a fair price point. I'm happy with him. The only thing that puts me off is that, well, I don't have a 4 million defender, so I'm thinking, should I get rid of Lacroix and get like a Stevie in and save $1 million? But then what am I doing with $1 million? You're going to figure out later on that I don't really have anyone that I can slap $1 million on and improve him. The Goalkeeper at Brighton, I'm a big fan of Brighton. Defensively a bit poor, but I think he could be racking up a few points going forward this season. He's the one, he was my 5th choice pick really, and at 4.5 million he's quite inexpensive, so he's someone that I won't necessarily feel like I have to pay to play. I don't like having big priced players on the bench, but that's my issue. My issue is I've got a really good overall squad, but whenever I pick my 11, I'm going to have a lot of money on the bench, and that makes me uncomfortable. So this is where I'm looking for advice. Which 1 or 2 players do I swap out, make one cheaper, and then perhaps upgrade the other one? You wait and see, because I've gambled. Here's my gamble. No Mo Salah. This is my midfield. So I've got Anderson in there, a lower price point for the midfielder at 5.5 million. It's the big Anderson-Reinders debate, isn't it? Which one you're going to go for, assuming you're going to go for one of them. There's a few other players I quite like around that price point. Adringat, Sunderland, expected to pick up a lot of minutes. I think there's a couple of others like Xhaka and Stack, who a bit more of a gamble, but they should pick up the defensive points, and, well, Stack in particular, but also will be taking set pieces, which could be quite key to picking up a few points. But I've gone with Anderson because I think he could be taking set pieces. He'll pick up those defensive points as well. So I've just got my fingers crossed. Now, saying that, he's the one that's unlikely to start too many games for me, admittedly. Now, Gakpo, I feel, will start. I don't think he's got any competition on that left-hand side for Liverpool. I think he's had a really good pre-season as well. Bit patchy last season, but I thought his game time was inconsistent. But for the start of the season at least, until they perhaps bring in Isak and another attacker, I think Gakpo will pick up a decent amount of minutes out on that left-hand side. So that's why I put him in there. And at 7.5 million, I don't think it's an offensive price. And I've gone with Wirtz because I'm a huge fan of him. Now, I haven't watched Liverpool pre-season, but I'd heard about how he'd been looking sharp. Salah was out wide. Then I watched him in the Community Shield against Palace, and there was a lot of confirmation bias there from what I'd seen. I thought, okay, Salah is a little bit wider. Wirtz is really busy, getting involved in play, got the assist, of course. And the difference in prices, I mean, there's a £6 million difference between Salah and Wirtz. So I think the goals will be spread out. Liverpool last season was Mo Salah FC to some extent. I think this season, you might find the goals are a little bit more spread out amongst the front line. With Ekitike there, Isak expected to rock up there as well. I'm going to have Wirtz in there for now anyway. I'm gambling. Fortune favours the brave sometimes. And Dye's always been in my team. 6.5 million I think is a really good price. I think he'll play most of the minutes at Everton. I know Grealish has gone in there. I don't see it as a bad thing. Arguably it's a good thing because it means he's got someone next to him who can supply him. Whether he plays on the left in the number 10, unlikely, or out on the right, I'm happy to have him in my team. I wouldn't even be surprised if at some point you see him moved up front in games by David Moyes. He likes converting a winger, doesn't he? But if, say, Barry's not hitting form and Beto's not hitting form or there's an injury, I wouldn't be surprised if I tuned into an Everton game and they had Grealish on the left, Alcaraz in the number 10 role and McNeil on the right and Dye up front. It would not surprise me. But 6.5 million, I think it's just one of those players that even if he's not in form, even if you're not playing him every week, it's affordable. I'm going to keep Morgan Rogers. I'm aware he picked up a bit of an injury, but he's been in training this week. Got some Newcastle at home's a difficult fixture, but then they've got some nicer fixtures on the horizon. And also last season, I had Rogers from match day 1, and I didn't transfer him out at all. So I'm a bit of a Morgan Rogers fan, you could say. So I'm sticking with my boy. He's staying in there. I ain't moving him for the first few weeks at least. Anyway, that's my midfielders. Now we're going to go to the attack. I think it's looking all right so far. Also, I want to know your teams before I reveal my 3. I want to know your teams. Let me know in the comments below. So in the comments below, let me know the teams you've got. Any players that you think are must-haves. Anyone that might be a popular pick that you're leaving. And also, you're more than welcome to comment on my team as well. If you think it's crap, let me know. What do you think is crap? How can I improve? I'm going to be listening. I'm probably going to be ignoring. But I am not convinced by this. I'm not locked in. I just feel like I've got too much money on the bench. And here's another reason why. Look at that front 3. Hey, are you having a bit of that? Ollie Watkins, incredible form pre-season. One of the first picks for me when I did my FPL team. Ollie Watkins was the first one I put in. Sorted. Huge Ollie Watkins fan. Depends how often you've watched me on YouTube. If you watch me over on Hammers Chat, my West Ham channel, you'll know I'm a massive Ollie Watkins fan, and I have been for years. I'm backing my boy to get goals this season. And also, not much competition for him at the minute, so I'm happy. Erling Haaland, whereas I think Salah, the goals might be spread at Liverpool. I think they might be a bit more. Haaland will gobble up most of them. Got a few, I think I prefer City's opening handful of fixtures compared to Liverpool's, for example. So I'm looking at him thinking that's my captain for a little while. Wolves away, I'm just unconvinced by Wolves. I think there's an opportunity for City to score 2 or 3 at the weekend. Granted, there is an opportunity for Liverpool to score 2 or 3 as well. But I don't know, I've just got a feeling. Haaland last season was deemed to have had a poor season, yet still scored an outrageous amount of goals. Second top goal scorer in the league. And he went spells without scoring at all. But he hit the ground running last season. I think I'm expecting to see Man City have a bit of a comeback. And that guy's going to be pivotal. And then there's my man. I can't not have Jared Bowen. Because you want consistency, don't you? He is consistent. Goals and assists. Sometimes Haaland is a goal scorer. You won't get many assists from him, but you get plenty goals from him. I've got Jared Bowen, who's an assist machine and a goal scoring machine. West Ham can be terrible. That guy will still do something. He's one of the best players in the Premier League, in my opinion. I don't like the fact that he's a striker this year. I'm upset with FPL with that one because he's always been a midfielder. And as a midfielder at 8 million, I'd be laughing having him in my team. But saying that, I actually think there's not loads of strikers I'm not taken by this season. Now, I will be honest, the player that was in my team that got taken out at last minute, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest here, before the Community Shield, I had Salah in there, and I didn't have Wirtz, and up front, I didn't have Haaland, I had Danny Welbeck, because Brighton fan, right? It's the second time I've had to do this. Not a fan of Brighton. I am not a Brighton fan of what Brighton do, and I think they're going to have a good season. So to only have one player in there feels a bit wrong. You know, Newcastle players feels a bit wrong. But what I will say is I've debated. I'll tell you a couple of players I've had in my team and I've taken out and stuff like that. There's one player in particular I've had in my team, in and out. Welbeck and this. I was swapping between Welbeck and Wissa. I thought, get Wissa in now. He goes to Newcastle. He'll start as their striker once he's there. He's going to get goals. Gordon, Alanga, Murphy, Barnes. You're going to score goals in that team. Ramsey, Yolenton, Bruno, Hall, Livramento. Goals. Livramento and Hall. I had Lewis Hall in my team loads last season as well. But I think I'm going to wait and see how Newcastle get on. But anyway, that is my team. Let me know what you think. You're more than welcome to slag it off. I can take it. I know it's not good. Like I said, my concern is I've just got a lot of money on the bench. When you see concepts of teams and they've got a £4 million defender and they've got, £4.5 million striker, that Sunderland guy that I don't know how to pronounce, Yeah, Gie. I think that's it. Gie. I don't know. That's Sunderland striker. That 4.5 million would free up a hell of a lot of money. And then the player I feel guilty not owning right now, the player that worries me right now that I don't own, isn't actually Salah. It's Cole Palmer. So I've been thinking, is there a way I can get Palmer? And there is, but I think I'd have to sell Watkins or Bowen. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sell Watkins or Bowen. Anyway, I'll catch up with you next week. Hopefully, I'll be celebrating quite a good start. Hopefully, I'll be leading Tartan Geo's FPL league. Unless, of course, someone's played like bench booster, triple captain, and boosted their points that way. But organically, no chips in play. Hopefully, I'm leading. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I shall catch up with you next week.